Alright, so let's talk about something we all get curious about. Finding that one stock that could potentially change everything. It's the classic investing dream, right? You hear stories about people who invested a small amount into a company before it became a household name, and their lives were transformed. This is what often draws people to look at smaller, less-known companies. They aren't the Apples or the Amazons of the world that everyone is already talking about. Instead, they operate in niche areas. Cutting-edge medical treatments, old-school electronics, and their stock prices can be incredibly volatile. The low price per share can make them seem like an amazing deal, a lottery ticket that feels just a little more grounded in reality. The real question is, are these stocks hidden gems or just financial traps waiting to spring? First up is Aethlon Medical, ticker symbol AEMD. In simple terms, Aethlon is a medical technology company. They've developed something called the hemopurifier. Think of it like a specialized filter for your blood. The idea? Remove harmful viruses, remove cancer-promoting exosomes from the blood of a sick patient. It's not a drug that attacks a specific disease. It's a broad platform designed to clean the blood. A lot of their value is tied to clinical trials and regulatory approvals, mainly from the FDA. Any news about trials, positive or negative, causes huge swings in their stock price. Here's where it gets really risky, and you need to pay close attention. Aethlon is a pre-revenue company. They're burning through cash to fund research, operations, and the expensive process of clinical trials. This is funded by raising money from investors, often issuing more shares and diluting existing shareholders. Next on our list is Protagenic Therapeutics, ticker symbol PTIX. This is another company in the healthcare space focused on developing new drugs, specifically treatments for stress-related neuropsychiatric disorders, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. Lead drug PT00114, a synthetic version of a natural brain peptide believed to help regulate stress. Their premise: create a stable synthetic peptide to form a new class of antidepressants. Potential benefit: more effective treatments with fewer side effects than current drugs. Like Aethlon, news here is all clinical trials. The lifeblood is data. Progress, slow and steady. They've been doing preclinical studies and early-stage human trials, advancing to the next phase of a trial, presenting positive data at a scientific conference, financially similar to Aethlon. Clinical stage equals big R&D spend, no sales yet. Cash burn equals critical metric. Do they have enough cash for the next 1-2 years? Verdict: potential upside is large. Mental health market is massive and growing. A novel effective treatment for depression or PTSD could be worth billions. Alright, let's switch gears completely and talk about SelectQuote, ticker symbol SLQT. This company is not about developing a new product, it's about selling existing ones. SelectQuote is basically an insurance shopping platform. Instead, they act as a middleman, connecting consumers with products from major carriers. Think of them like an online marketplace for life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance, and especially Medicare plans. Recent events for SelectQuote have been a real roller coaster. The company saw a massive boom a few years ago, especially in its Medicare Advantage business. However, they ran into some serious trouble. The problem was with something called persistency, how long customers keep policies. SelectQuote struggled to predict how many customers would cancel. When customers cancel early, expected commissions vanish. That forecasting error led to massive write-downs and the stock plummeted. They have since been in a turnaround phase, trying to fix their models and stabilize the business. Now, looking at their financials, it's a mixed and complicated picture. They generate significant revenue, hundreds of millions of dollars. But the problem hasn't been revenue, it's profitability. Key thing to watch: are they signing up more sticky customers? Are their profit margins improving? Let's head back into the world of biotech with Immuneering Corp, ticker symbol IMRX. This company is a fascinating blend of technology and medicine. They're trying to develop drugs for cancer, but their approach is what makes them different. They use a proprietary platform powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning to analyze biological data. The goal is to better understand the complex signaling pathways within cells that lead to cancer. By mapping these pathways, they hope to identify new drug targets and design medicines that are more precise and effective. Their main focus is on cancers driven by the RAS-MAPK pathway, which is involved in a huge number of human cancers. Their lead drug candidate, IMM-1104, is in early-stage human trials. These trials are designed to test the drug's safety and determine the right dosage. The company has been providing updates on this trial, and honestly, the market hangs on every word. Positive data suggesting the drug is well tolerated and showing early signs of hitting its target can provide a big boost. Financially, Immuneering's story will sound very familiar by now. They're not generating revenue and are posting consistent net losses as they pour money into research and development. They raised a significant amount of cash when they went public, and a key financial metric to watch is their cash runway. Their balance sheet is currently healthy enough to fund their ongoing trials for a while, but eventually they will need more money, which will likely come from selling more stock. Finally, let's look at something completely different. Emerson Radio, ticker symbol MSN. Emerson Radio is a name that might sound familiar to your parents or grandparents. They have a long history in consumer electronics, radios, stereos, TVs. However, the company you see today is very different. It no longer manufactures its own products. Instead, it operates primarily through licensing agreements. This means they license the Emerson brand name to other companies who then manufacture and sell products under that name, like microwaves, compact refrigerators, wine coolers. The recent news flow for Emerson Radio is typically very quiet. This is not a company that puts out a lot of press releases about groundbreaking developments. Their business is mature and frankly in decline. The consumer electronics market is brutally competitive, dominated by giant global brands. The value of the Emerson name isn't what it used to be. Looking at the financials tells a stark story. Emerson Radio's licensing revenue has been shrinking over the years. They are technically profitable at times, but profits are small and inconsistent. The most interesting part is the balance sheet. For a long time, the stock was considered a net-net, meaning market cap was less than net current assets. That can attract deep value investors betting the assets exceed the stock price. It's a melting ice cube. Assets may remain now, but operations are shrinking. Now that we've taken a close look at each company individually, let's put them side by side to see how they stack up. It's important to understand that these 5 stocks represent very different types of investment risks. On one end of the spectrum, you have Aethlon, PTIX, Immuneering. These 3 are pure-play biotechnology and medical technology ventures. Their potential reward is, without a doubt, the highest of the group. A single successful drug or medical device approval could lead to returns of 10 times, 20 times, or even more. They represent a shot at a grand slam home run. However, that immense potential reward comes with an equally immense risk. These companies are all pre-revenue and burning through cash. Their entire value is based on a future event, a successful clinical trial that has a statistically low probability of happening. So for Aethlon, PTIX, Immuneering, the risk profile is binary. It's either a massive win or a near total loss. On the other side, you have SelectQuote and Emerson Radio. These are established businesses, not scientific experiments. SelectQuote is a revenue-generating company in a massive industry, but it's a turnaround story. The risk here is not that the idea is unproven, but that the execution is flawed. Emerson Radio is in a category of its own, what we might call a special situation or a deep value play. The risk here is one of slow, steady decline. So after breaking all of this down, what are the big lessons for an everyday person looking at stocks like these? The first and most important takeaway is to understand the category of risk you are taking on. Aethlon, PTIX, Immuneering. These are speculative ventures. You are providing capital for a scientific project. You must be fully prepared to lose your entire investment. Think of it less like buying a piece of a company and more like funding an ambitious research grant that might, against all odds, pay off. The second key takeaway is for companies like SelectQuote. Turnaround stories are incredibly compelling. It's human nature to root for a comeback. Before investing in a turnaround, see clear, consistent evidence the changes are working. Improving profit margins, stabilizing revenue, positive cash flow over several quarters, not just one. Hope is not an investment strategy. For a company like Emerson Radio, be wary of value traps. A stock might look cheap on paper because of assets, but if the business is deteriorating, that value can evaporate. A melting ice cube is still melting. These situations are often best left to professional, event-driven investors. For most people, focus on businesses that are actually growing. Do your own homework and match investments to your financial situation and stomach for risk. So as we wrap this up, what's the final word on these stocks for 2025? Are they a buy or should you pass? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on you. But for the vast majority of investors, especially newer to the market, extreme caution is best. These are not the types of stocks you build a stable, long-term portfolio around. They should be, at best, tiny speculative positions inside a well-diversified portfolio, like a lottery ticket. The biotech and medical tech names, Aethlon, Protagenic, Immuneering, offer a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario. If you are passionate about science and have a very high tolerance for risk, a tiny speculative position could make sense. But go in with your eyes wide open. Most probable outcome is loss of capital. SelectQuote is a bet on a corporate turnaround. For most, wait for a few consecutive quarters of solid, profitable results. Let the company prove recovery. Emerson Radio feels like a historical artifact rather than a forward-looking investment. Unless you're a deep value specialist, it's a tough case. In conclusion, these 5 stocks come with flashing warning signs and big hurdles. For most investors, money is better in simpler, more stable investments. Thanks for watching.